Welcome to the WhamTech EIQ product suite. This video will demonstrate how to define entities, build the link index in master data, map it, and query it using a visualization tool. Master data is an integral part of data management and the way a business operates. The first step in master data management is creating the indexes. An index needs to be created for every data source where master data is needed. After configuring the EIQ SuperAdapter in EIQ Federation Server, go to the Superschema Mapping tab and select Edit Entity Data. An entity is defined by the specified metadata columns. They are server-wide, not data source specific, but are only applied to the data sources in the federated VDS. Create a person entity which consists of date of birth, first name, and family name. This means that these three attributes are what defines a person. Finish configuring all of the required entities and then close the window. Return to the Superschema Mapping tab and then select the newly created federated VDS. The federated VDS will not have a superschema mapping. It uses the mappings of the VDS it is built on. Now, select Show Entity Mapping, which changes the view to the list of entities defined on the server. The Build Link Index button no longer appears grayed out. Click Build Link Index to see the entities applicable to this federation. This shows users the link index building actions for the selected virtual data source. Because we want to use the person entity as the basis for creating the master data, we need to further configure that entity. Right-click the person entity and select Configure Matching Rule. Select the Fuzzy Match button. This allows us to further configure the entity's attribute properties. Change the matching token for the first name and family name to metaphone. This will allow additional matching on the sounds of words, like Kate, spelled with a C, and Kate, spelled with a K. The binning attributes help limit the computation by limiting the number of comparisons within the dataset. The bins are created using the entity attribute by default. You can also specify additional matching attributes for the MDM table. All matching attributes that are added assist in qualifying the match. Each attribute is given 2 raw scores signifying how much it can contribute to the match. There's a score for when it is populated, and a score for when it is blank. Each matching attribute can also be added to the binning attributes, even though they are not part of the entity definition, by checking the binning plus option of the matching attribute. Because Social Security number is a unique identifier, it can be given a higher weight than other values because it is a more guaranteed way of matching together data that comes from the same person. Select the Generate Master Data checkbox and update both the link and master data threshold to your desired value. These values can differ from each other. The link threshold is the minimum weight for each record to form a link, and the MDM threshold is the minimum total weight required for a record to be merged. For the merged rule, you can choose most recent timestamp, which is the default, or data source precedence. To update MDM schema automatically, select the designated checkbox and click OK to save the configuration. Now you are ready to generate the master data and create the link indexes. To begin, click Start. The example data source doesn't have a lot of data to merge, so the process is completed very quickly. Larger data sources may experience a longer processing time. Review the progress report as the build proceeds and the summary reports after completion. You can save the summary reports for later if you desire. When the master data has been generated, click Superschema to return to the original tab. Now select one of the data sources that were used to create the master data. You should see the master data columns that were created at the top of the Superschema mapping window. These columns can also be mapped to a standard data model and will appear when querying the federated VDS. This master data also contains the transforms created in the first video. The Social Security number column is formatted properly, and the phone numbers appear all in one derived column instead of 3 separate columns. When the master data is linked, it takes the most recent data. In a query, when you see the base data source using a specific value for a street address, and then the master data is using a different address, the master data is using the most recent address that it could find based on the timestamps. There are also visualization tools that assist with viewing and analyzing the master data. Services like Tableau and WhamTech's personal VMPI, or Virtual Master Patient Index, can display visual representations of the data. WhamTech's VMPI allows you to view the connections between the master data at various degrees of separation. When we search for a patient, for example, Lisa Taylor, we are shown 2 different results. Clicking on one of them will bring up the visualization. Lisa Taylor appears in the middle, and all of the records we have for Lisa are connected to her like a web. We can see all of the addresses, emails, diagnoses, medications, and lab orders within the master data. If we double-click on Lisa Taylor, we can see the individual records located within the master data, as well as the back-end connections of what items are from which records. Thank you for watching. We hope you were able to gain an insight on the benefits of EIQ indexes and WhamTech's best of all world solutions to master data management.